Welcome back to iHeartRadio. So bad it's good. Today we have somebody that is so good it's great. I've been wanting to talk to our next guest since I saw her on the first episode of last season of Real Housewives of Dallas. Really, truly somebody that I thought was truly unique, special, brought something so new to the Housewives franchise and something so needed, because this is somebody that truly does not need the Housewives franchise. This is somebody that has a real job, but not only that, is now adding stand-up comedian to the list, winemaker, candle maker, which we know we love a candle maker in the Bravo universe. But there's just so much good coming out of this person. And I'm so infuriated that we possibly might not see her on our screens for a little bit more. But I just want to get into everything right now. Dr. Tiffany Moon, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I dragged my mom to your wine event in Los Angeles a couple months ago. I dragged my mom and my roommate, and my mom talked your poor ear off. I don't even if you know if you
No,
recall.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And your 3 Moon wine is amazing. And I want to talk about that later on. But my first question is, will you adopt me?
Yes, but I'm a Tiger mom. So you're going to have to enroll in violin and piano and Mandarin and bring home nothing but 95s and above.
This is exactly what I needed all along. My mom was not enough of what your children were so intimidating because they were really nice on the show, but then already they were smarter at the age of like 6 years old. They already knew so much more than I ever will know in my life.
I expect a lot from my children. So yes, I will adopt you, but you should know that, being my kid is not easy.
No, I'm sure it's not easy. Do you mind if I speak with them for the rest of this interview?
They're at school right now.
If you could get them out, that would be great. Okay, so we're just coming off of Valentine's Day. Just to start off, did you do anything special for Valentine's Day?
No, we stayed in and had really expensive champagne and caviar with our kids.
The kids had the champagne.
Oh yes, I should not say this, but my husband let my daughters have a sip of champagne on New Year's Eve and they like it. And so now whenever we open champagne at home, they're each allowed to have a sip. Please do not call CPS on me. I swear to God, we're good parents. But we let them each have one small sip of champagne and they like it.
My dad did that with wine, and I remember as a kid, but I hated it. I was just like, why do adults do this to themselves? It took much later in life until I enjoyed it. Also, congratulations, 1 million TikTok followers. That's wild.
It's crazy. And I went on TikTok like on accident because my stepdaughter, who was 15 at the time, was like doing all these stupid dances and we were all home, during quarantine. I remembered there was this TikTok song that was like bored in the house bored. I was like, sure are. And so I just went on TikTok like to pass the time during quarantine. And then soon it just became like this growing thing. Some of my videos went viral and now it's like my favorite social media platform.
I mean, to have 1 million of anybody aware of anything that anybody does is just kind of just mind altering. Even you were doing this even before the reality show. I mean, I even knew about your TikToks leading into Real Housewives of Dallas. And it kind of just, that's got to be mind boggling for you, for somebody that's like worked hard their entire life. And then you go on and you're funny on a platform. And then all of a sudden you blow up for something that you didn't even go to school for.
I know. If I had known that I could be TikTok famous and I didn't have to have $200,000 worth of student loans, I would have just foregone the MD and just, tried to do dances and stuff.
Well, I mean, we got to meet your parents and your mom especially, and they really did a beautiful job focusing on your relationship, which I always love on these shows, is that there is like this kind of grain of truth that we all can kind of recognize in our own families and stuff like that. But how do you explain to your mom things like TikTok? How do you, I mean, it's like explaining the modern day world to them, but also your fame or your Bravo, like, how did you explain all of this? And what was her reaction after all of it aired too?
We don't really talk about, the fame and TikTok and all that stuff. And I swear to you, when my mom and I hang out and she comes over to make dumplings like she did for Chinese New Year not too long ago, I am just Tiffany. Like, she does not care how many followers I have. Mama does not give a shit. Like, she still puts me down as often as she possibly can. Like, she cannot leave my house without insulting me at least 5 times, I've decided. Usually about my cooking, my child rearing, or how I look. So mom does not care about any of this.
Do you find yourself picking up on any of those, I don't know if we call them qualities, as you are growing up? Do you find yourself, I mean, not only in the cooking, but do you find yourself being hypercritical of people in your life at times now? And you're like, oh my God, I'm turning into my mom.
Oh, yes. Well, the other day I did something, and my husband and I hardly ever fight. We really don't. But I guess I was annoying him or doing something. And then he was like, "You're really acting like your mom right now." And I was like, oh, I was like, that is the meanest thing you have ever said to me.
I mean, how dare him?
How,
Jeez.
yeah, I was like changing my mind all the time. You know, my mom, she'll be like, "Oh, let's eat this. No, let's eat this." And then, you know, like you can't please her. That's basically like what it is to be around my mom. Like whatever you choose, it'll be wrong.
That's amazing. I mean, not amazing. It's just amazing. Before we get into a lot of what you're up to now, I just noticed that you were in Italy. You had posted a TikTok at the top of the Duomo after you had climbed all the steps in Florence.
Yes.
And I had been there like 7 or 8 years ago, and it was the most magical trip of my life. Did you guys have the best time ever?
Yes, Florence. We went to Rome, Florence, and Venice.
Yeah.
This was for our 10-year wedding anniversary. We had it planned. We were going to cancel it, you know, because of COVID and everything. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's just go. Like, I need this vacation so bad. So we just went, stayed outside most of the time, did that Duomo climb, which my trip advisor person told me it was like no big deal. Okay, well, I'm severely physically deconditioned. I've not worked out in a really long time. I mostly sit around all day. And halfway up the Duomo, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah. But a beautiful view. It's worth the vomit, I hear. It really is worth the vomit. Um so diving back into where we're at now, the thing that I always wondered watching you, the first episode of Dallas, my first question to myself was, why even do this? Why even like, no, because like I was like, here's somebody that's really smart, really funny, really pretty. You had ever like, but why? You know, was it because you wanted to show Chinese American? Is it because you wanted, like, what was your initial goal? Was it just because there was a part of you that wanted some sort of fame? What was it that drew you to this show in the first place?
I don't think it was for the fame. I always joke with people that, you know, I always wanted to be rich, but not famous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I,
by the way, if you're rich, I always say this on the show, if you're rich, you don't have to deal with the stuff that you have to deal with fame. Rich is the way to go.
Yeah, I would rather be rich than famous any day. I wanted to increase representation of Asian American women. And also, I sort of wanted to do it because I was told by several people that I couldn't or that I shouldn't. And so it was like sort of a FU to those people, that you couldn't be a professional woman, a doctor, and be a good doctor, which I am, and still be on like a silly reality TV show, you know? And I kind of wanted to prove those people wrong. And also for a part of myself, I had always been a good girl my entire life. You know, I graduated from Cornell when I was 19, went straight to medical school. I graduated when I was 23, got married, had 2 kids. I never did anything bad. And I was like, oh, this is my chance. It was like my midlife crisis.
This
no,
is
Ryan,
a chance to do
I was
really
like
bad.
35 years old. That's like midlife-ish. It's almost 40. And they offered this to me. And when I was interviewing with the casting director and then her boss, and then Rich Bai, who's the head of our production company, I never for a moment when I was sitting down interviewing with each of those people thought that they would pick me, because I knew that there was a lot of women in Dallas with big personalities, big hair, big houses, you know, all that stuff. And I was like, and I told them, I was like, I'm working full time. And so I don't know how the filming schedule is going to be. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. We'll work around that, whatever. And so I never really thought that I would be chosen. So then when I was chosen, I was like, oh my gosh. And I just felt like it was such a unique opportunity. And I had never done anything unexpected in my whole life. I had done everything by the books. And I was like, what if I tell my friends I'm going to be on Real Housewives? They'll all be like, what? I kind of just wanted that what, like, oh my gosh, Tiffany is doing what? She's totally unhinged. Like, is she crazy? You know, I kind of wanted that reaction out of people because I was just used to being like, oh, Tiffany, you know, she's never late. Oh, you want to organize a party? Have Tiffany organize it. Like, she'll send out the e-fight. You know, I just had been such a good girl and I wanted to do something a little naughty.
I love that that's the ultimate act of rebellion in your eyes. I love that, like, parents are at home, like, like worried about drinking and kids doing drugs and like, like never go onto that Real Housewives show. Like, I'm going to do it, Dad. I'm just going to do it. You're like, no. But I mean, did you get that sense looking back on it now? Was it the ultimate act of rebellion? Like coming out on the other side of this a little bit, are you like, that was exactly what I thought it was going to be? Or did it open so many other cans of worms in so many other areas? I mean, did it provide that sense of rebellion for you in the end?
Yeah, no, it definitely got that out of my system. Like, I'm good now. You know, it's like the one time I smoked a joint in my life and I'm like, ew, that was gross. Why do people like that? Like, oh, I felt so out of control. Like, oh, no. So I'm good, with the one season, which is why I wasn't too keen on doing it again. I had never, really said that I was going to do it again. It was just like my one season act of rebellion and I got it out of my system. I do think that it opened a few can of worms along the way, but I also think that it opened up a lot of doors of opportunity for me that back then I did not see.
And what kind of doors were those for you?
I mean, I've gotten like emceeing, like speaking engagements as a result of being on the show and talking about anti-racism. I have had, partnerships, collaborations with big companies that have reached out to me. I've met so many awesome people like you, Victoria Lee, Crystal and I connected because of Housewives.
Yeah, she actually came to your stand-up show when you were in town.
Crystal and I are actually like good friends now.
Crystal
Not
Minkoff,
like, yeah, not like okay friends or Instagram friends. Like we actually call and talk to each other. Like she just wrapped season 12 of Beverly Hills.
This
She's
weekend.
like, she called me, she was like, that's a wrap. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I cannot. They went into filming so fast after the last season. I couldn't believe it.
Because they were like hopping on that kind of freight train that was going to Beverly Hills,
If the iron is hot, strike while it's hot. Don't let it cool down. Like,
yeah, but do you watch that from afar and go, my gosh, it's fun to watch, but you were in some of that yourself. And by the way, the drama that you actually really participated in was after the cameras stopped rolling.
Correct.
And we never got to see a lot of that. We got to hear allusions to it in the reunion, and all the Bravo fans got to read about that, but we didn't even get to film any of that, which is like a whole nother I would imagine can of worms, and kind of unfair in a way because we didn't get to really hear your side of the story in some aspects.
Yes, exactly. That was probably the biggest can of worms that I encountered from my season was the overt aggression and gaslighting that I experienced from some of my colleagues, my cast members, and their family members who actively tried to go after my career, and they actually tried to get me fired. From my job, which I've worked my entire life for, because
and you guys, this is public knowledge. This is this has been out there. This is documented.
This is not new news. I mean, because their daddy donates millions of dollars to the institution that I work for, so they have some power, as you might imagine.
Isn't that frightening though, when you realize that people do have that kind of power? Like, this is about a housewife show and we all kind of laugh and joke, and it's hey, you put bad stuff on the pizza and you made them eat it. Like, that's funny housewife stuff, right? Like, but then when it gets into the real world of people trying to affect your actual profession that you went to school for, did you ever have any kind of moments of like, yo, this is not funny anymore, potentially?
Yeah, that's when I, up until then, everything was like, oh, for the show, whatever. But when they try to come after my job is when I had to get my lawyers involved. So my lawyer, Andrew, had to use his legal expertise to put a kibosh on that. So,
shout out to Andrew. Are we
yeah.
still working as an anesthesiologist? Are we
Yes,
still okay?
yes, I am still employed. I am still working. I'm part-time, which I love. You know, part of my storyline, they say, you know,
5 days to 4 days
was yes. And actually, I went from 4 days to 3 days.
So you guys, if you didn't watch Dallas last season, it really was I thought it was one of the best seasons. I loved it. But one of your big storylines, Tiffany's storyline, was she had to ask her boss to go from 5 days to 4 days, which you're like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But to you, it was a very big deal. And then you had to tell your mom that you were going to 4 days, which was another big deal. And we got to really see you fret about something that, like, most of the audience is like, I'd tell people I'd work 2 days if I could. Like, you know, and you really were concerned about this, but you're saying now you even went down to part-time.
Yeah, I got a little taste of that part-time life at 80%. And I was like, oh, 1 day is not enough. Like, I need 2 days.
This to 60%. Well, did you freak out? Like, what was the experience of trying to get down to that? Did you just...
No, a lot of anxiety went into going from full-time to 80%. But I feel like it's like once you lose your virginity, like that cherry is popped. It's like, whatever.
I keep hearing, I'm so excited to lose my virginity one day. Yeah. I am so excited. But so you are 3 days, but I was looking you up on Google, and Google will have like the most asked questions of, you know, any person you look up. And one of your questions was, what is Tiffany Moon's work schedule? And I was like,
what were the other ones? Tell me them.
Okay. It was, let me see. I had this and I was just laughing because I was going on your website, which, by the way, tiffanymoon.com, you can find everything there. And I'm going to do an opening with all of this as well. But on Google, if you type in Tiffany Moon in the search bar,
I should play this game.
Yeah, this is great. You're not on WikiFeet yet, that'll rate your feet. So someday, is Tiffany Moon still a doctor? Yes. Who is Tiffany Moon married to?
Daniel Moon.
You're 2 for 2 so far. What does Tiffany Moon do for a living?
Mom, entrepreneur, anesthesiologist,
stand-up comedian,
available for hire for your next event. Please inquire.
And then, I mean, the main one is what happened to Tiffany Moon on Real Housewives of Dallas.
Oh,
and that was like that was the main one of and is Dallas coming back? And at this point, we have no plans for Dallas to come.
Yeah, ain't no plans. Don't hold your breath.
But but at this point, you wouldn't do it if there was, or would you consider?
That's not true. When there was maybe going to be a season 6 of Dallas, and I
always heard that you guys were like, I thought it was all systems go. Yeah. What does test shot mean?
So you recommend friends that you think would be good cast members on the show, which is how I got on. Deandra recommended me. You kind of have to know somebody. It's a little bit weird if you like don't know anybody, even, you know, peripherally.
Yeah, we want to actually believe these people are kind of friends in some weird way.
In Dallas, everybody knows everybody. It's small. So I recommended 2 of my friends, and production actually came from LA and did scenes in their home, like all day shooting with them, and test scenes with Deandra and I, shooting the potential new housewives.
Yeah.
It's like their tryout session, I guess you could call it. I don't think this is not secret information.
No, but it's like funny because I compare it to like the Saturday Night Live casting process now, where people are like actually going in front of Lorne Michaels and doing characters, and it feels like Bravo's weirdly like SNL now, where you have to kind of audition to get on and show your stuff, and then they choose whether or not to go ahead.
Yeah, but I say it's the easiest audition ever, because all they actually want you to do is just be yourself, which is hard when there's like 2 cameras and a guy miking you and lighting and stuff like that. But really, they don't want you auditioning. Like, they want to sort of be a fly on the wall watching what it's like Friday night with you and your kids at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The test shoots, I mean, I don't really know how they went, but I think they didn't go perfectly well.
Yeah. How do you know when you're in the middle of a quote unquote scene of your real life, if you're like, that scene of my real life went amazing? Like, you don't know, like, I don't go around my life going, this part of my life is going amazing today. Like, I just kind of go through it. Do you know when something goes bad or good?
You know, it's so funny. I like to learn stuff, and I used to always talk to our field producers about like why some scenes were good and bad. And I'm not pretending to be in the entertainment industry at all, but I feel like now I can tell like during live events, like which scenes they're gonna put in and which ones they're not. Like I kind of have a feel for what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went ahead with this test footage and then, or test shoots, and then
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden you got word that it just was a no-go, right?
Correct. Correct. Which
And
I had suspected anyway, because it was like a really long lag. Like, Beverly Hills went exact from like reunion to taping the new season. Ours, we filmed reunion in like April or May, and they wanted to pick up filming again around my birthday in August. So it was like a 4-month lag, and they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And so I kind of had this sneaking suspicion that like, it wasn't going to get picked up for a season 6. And I even joked with the head of our production company. I was like, you know what, like just cancel the whole thing. Like everyone's not gelling. And
horrible joke, Tiffany. You really
no, I really, I think it was the right move for Bravo to put Dallas on a hiatus from a
yeah.
business perspective, because it was the lowest rated franchise. It always has been.
Oh, by the way, I want to point that out. Always has been, not
Always
because
has been. Oh yeah, don't be blaming me for that.
No, I just want to point that out. Dallas has always been kind of a redheaded stepchild in the terms of the audience, because all these New York, Beverly Hills, all these were so established. Salt Lake is very recent as well, but Dallas was kind of in this middle lag where it just never really fully fleshed out.
Yep. And I've been in Dallas for several years now, and I never watched Dallas until season 4 because Deandra made me watch it. Well, she had watching parties, and so then I'd end up at her house watching it. But really, we'd end up like talking and drinking and not really watching it.
How often does she make out with her husband in front of you in public places? They seem like they're very touchy-feely all the time.
They're pretty touchy-feely. Jeremy is very handsy with her. That's definitely their love language.
But you would do these watch parties, and you would kind of get a sense of what Dallas was through Deandra and the show.
Yeah, but when I watched it, I was like, this show is not representative of Dallas women. First of all, there's like no diversity on there. I mean, Carrie Brittingham is from Mexico, but she presents as a white woman. Like if she didn't talk, and you saw her, she has fair skin and blonde hair. Certainly there's no one that's like, a first generation immigrant. And I mean this in the nicest way, but there's no working women on there. Like everyone is a stay-at-home mom and may have a side business, which I know that it's hard to run your own side business, but could they not find anyone in Dallas who was Hispanic, Asian, or African American, or who had an actual job where they have to go somewhere and report to a supervisor? And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because they do have Married to Medicine, which focuses on that on Bravo, but Housewives, really, you're right. It's always kind of geared towards women that potentially don't have their own careers, or the careers that they do have are based from Real Housewives, where they get to start their, my dog poop sparkle, toy lines after, you know what I'm saying? Like they get businesses through the show, but they don't usually come in with their own business, and that's fine. But it is interesting when somebody like that who is established then comes into the mix, is that there's going to be friction. Just, I would imagine, even just from that standpoint of you actually have to go into the real world. Like we saw you having to have a couple drinks and they go, I got to stop because I got to go to work at 6 a.m. in the morning. We saw that on the show.
I mean, I had a 2-drink maximum on nights where I had to be in the OR the next day, because I wake up at 6 and I get to work around 6:30.
Can you imagine if you had to tell a patient, like, I'm so sorry, Mama D lost it last night, and I had to get a 3rd drink in, and like, could you imagine?
Yeah. And I was and production was very good about it. Like they were not the ones that had a problem with it. My castmates were the ones that had a problem with it. But like Carrie and Brandy stayed up until 4 a.m. on a Thursday, and then FaceTimed me at like noon saying that they had just woke up and stayed out drinking until 4.
That's what Carrie's a professional drinker on the show.
In between my 3rd and 4th case of the day. And I was on my lunch break and I was like, okay, I got to go pre-op my next patient now. Bye.
Did you feel left out sometimes in those situations? Not on purpose, but like, I remember being at school, and if I had to do a bunch of like schoolwork and my friends got to go hang out and I didn't get to go because I had to do the schoolwork, was there ever that vibe of like, they get to like sleep in and hang out without me, and I'm here at a job and they seem like they're just having the time of their life?
Yeah, a little bit of FOMO for sure. And I wanted to be liked by them. I wanted to fit in with them. And I just constantly felt like, I was being excluded, sometimes for reasons that were my own fault, certainly. But I don't know. It never, ever really meshed.
Well, one of
And
your
I think you can
storylines,
see that.
yeah, I think I can see it, but also at the same time, I really did enjoy what you brought to it, and it was a joy to watch you on screen. So even in the non-meshing, I think sometimes those things can work because you can see where things can move closer together as people, or we can move further apart if you want to extrapolate to the larger world, which I always want to try to see the world through some sort of hope. Like, I think I even asked you at the wine event, I was like, sometimes I just wonder, like, do we have hope for where we're going, not only in America, but with our set? Like, I want to know that people like, and I hate to use names here, but like, Cameron and you and stuff like that. I mean, this got way out of hand and was ridiculous. But I think before the reunion, I was like, man, maybe it would be cool to one day see where they can come together and what the similarities are, because then we can actually take some hope from that on, in America, or the greater Bravo audience, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with you. Like when you still have hope that something could happen, it makes you think that all is not lost, like that maybe we can agree to disagree, right? At least be cordial to one another. And before we taped Reunion, I actually thought like maybe Cameron and I could come to some sort of, agree to disagree, but still respect each other. But it became very clear to me when I was sitting in that chair next to Andy that she did not come to make amends with me, because her and her little pink briefcase like came to gaslight and
she thought she was doing something with that.
Oh, she thought she did a thing. I made a TikTok of a clip of Reunion, which like 15 million people have viewed, and the comments on there are hilarious. Sometimes I go on there if I had a bad day in the hospital or something, I'll just open the comments of that TikTok to make myself feel a little bit better. But they're like, who is this white woman? And then they're like, wow, she thought she really ate. And then like the comments are so funny, Ryan. I swear to God.
Well, people are like, that's what I love, the viewers or anybody that sees this stuff. Like, you can really get to the actual reality of things when you get the viewers involved, or just the general public at large that don't know Bravo at all. And they'll tell you really quick what's up. And, the camera doesn't lie usually. So you can kind of see, even without watching the season, exactly what you were potentially dealing with. But also I thought it was so interesting because of the times we are in, is that there was this real feeling of, you just sensed her and maybe some of the other women as well being threatened on so many levels, not only on like potentially eating pig feet or this, but just so threatened. And I realized I was trying to think about my own life, and when I'm tentative about trying something new, but this took it to a whole nother level. But going onto the show and realizing you're representing the Asian American community, did it ever give you pause to like think like 4 steps down the road of like, if I do this, I could really paint myself and this amazing culture and this amazing light, or it could go this other way and they could ridicule this and it could cause some sort of really bad vibe? I mean, did you think that far down the line on things?
Honestly, I didn't. I was so busy just concentrating on like the task at hand, that I, didn't really think, how am I representing my Asian American community, or how am I representing my medical professional community? Because then I would just get in my head even more.
You'd be frozen.
Look, let me just be my most authentic self. I might goof up a little bit, but overall, like I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and not worry about all that. Cause I think I would have really frozen up if I thought that far ahead.
No, you're totally right. That's what it is such an important time for the Asian American community. And I think you represented it beautifully, but I just really am still angry, and a lot of Bravo fans are angry with how that reunion was handled, because it's just like, I've never seen somebody so accomplished and well-spoken and funny and all of this stuff. And it was like, I just felt like an opportunity was taken from us to get to see you grow on this, or to even see you turn into a villain. Like, I would have loved, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been great to see your second season, you become a complete villain. Like, I want that chance for you as well. But putting that aside, I wanted to touch on some of the things. Why then stand up? We know you're funny. We see the TikTok videos. We found you funny on the show. Whatever in the love of God would possess you to get up on a stage and tell Joe, like, where did that idea even come from?
It was an idea that my friend planted in my head. I never had aspirations to be a stand-up comedian, nor do I ever, unless Netflix wants to call me and offer me a 45-minute Netflix special. But when you see someone doing stand-up and they're cracking jokes and you're just in the audience like chilling and laughing, I think it's like, watching the figure skaters or gymnasts. Like, they make it look easy, but you have no idea the amount of preparation that went into that, whatever, 5-10 minute set. And so when my friend offered me the chance to do like a real stand-up comedy set on a real stage with a real live audience, I thought, this is one of those things like Housewives that's a unique opportunity that probably most people don't ever even get the chance to do. And if I accept it and I do it, I will have some sort of personal growth from this experience.
And have you found that to be true?
Yes. I mean, writing jokes is hard. And then the only person I hang out with is my husband. And so I would run all my jokes by him. And
by the way, like, your husband doesn't like, your husband seems like really like well-meaning, like a good guy, but like he didn't come off as like the biggest laugher on the show. Like he wasn't always like,
he's like serious Daniel.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Serious. But he's actually not. He can be really funny, but on the show he was trying to stay composed, and he would like only have one glass of wine if we were filming. So I would run all my jokes by him and he'd be like, that's not funny. Or he'd be like, oh, why don't you, instead of that, say this? So this is what I learned. If you're going to tell jokes and try to do stand-up, do not have your spouse be your sounding board. It is not a good idea. Like that, we would like fight after running stand-up jokes.
Yeah. I used to run lines with my ex for like auditions, and she'd be like, you forgot this line. And I'd be like, I know, I'm trying to get through this.
Yeah, you're supposed to be trying to hype me up, not bring me down.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you're in the audition, all you're thinking about is your ex telling you forgot this line wrong, so you're already out of the scene. So you actually, but I love that you do stand up, and then you're actually doing it at some of the biggest venues in America. Like you just,
I know.
I mean, was it the Laugh Factory? I've done
two stand-up sets ever. One is at the Dallas Comedy Club, which is fairly big. It was like 150 people, the main stage. And then the second stand-up set I ever did was at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, which is like a really big deal.
That's one of the biggest.
And it was sold out. It was packed.
Wait, did you get nervous?
I don't really get nervous.
Okay.
One Xanax and one vodka tonic and all the nerves are out. But it's like showtime. And you know what, Ryan? I work really well under pressure. Yeah. Like when it's go time, like when the patient is in VFib and dying or hemorrhaging out, is like when I shine the brightest, is like in moments of distress.
Wait, was the crowd in VFib? Were they dying out? By the way, you just made stand-up sound like the most intense experience. But I did stand-up for like 6 months until the first time I bombed. And I was like it woke me up real quick, and I had never, like, my whole body turned to water. Like, so you haven't even got your first bomb in yet. I had very nice audiences.
I had very nice audiences that laughed at my jokes, even the ones that weren't that funny. But a lot of the audience was filled with my friends. And so, I was like, you guys gotta laugh. Okay. I was like texting people. I was like, laugh really loud. Okay. No, I'm so blessed that I got the chance to do those 2 stand-up sets. And like, I feel like everyone in life, everyone should like be made to go on stage for 5 to 10 minutes and do a stand-up comedy set in front of a live audience. Like the amount of personal growth that you will experience, I think, is worth the potential like shit in your pants terror.
That's it. That's what I hate. I love and hate about life is everything that is the most beneficial to you, and the things that you feel the best about are the scariest moments of your life. And then on the
Yes.
other side of that is all of this glory. But it really is.
Yes.
It stops so many people because
Say
the shit in
that
your pants,
again. I
the shit in
mean,
your pants is
quote,
too much.
quote that. Everything that has the glory on the other side,
The
I was
hardest.
so scared to do, took an immense amount of preparation. And that those are the things that are easy. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you seem like you have a full, as we start winding down, you seem like you have a full list of these things. What else is on that list? I mean, are you jumping out of planes now? What are we, I mean,
No,
what
no,
could
no.
even,
No,
what's
no
next?
physical things. No, no bungee jumping, no skydiving, no, nothing that could potentially, if I have to sign a waiver saying that if I die, I'm not going to sue you, which the skydiving waiver basically says, in case anyone's actually read it
Same as
before
the
jumping out
stand-up
of the
comedy
plane.
one, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no waiver to go on the Laugh Factory. I mean, the waiver was basically, here's a microphone, and if it sucks, like, goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that there are so many opportunities for personal growth, but then if you're scared and let your fear control you, you'll never achieve any of that stuff. And for me, that was stand-up comedy. For me, that was starting a business. For me, that was going on Real Housewives. But all of those things have opened up so many doors for me and like exposed me to so many awesome people like you, like we wouldn't have been friends if I hadn't gone on Housewives.
Tiffany, that's not a good thing for you. Like this is, I mean,
It is.
wait, okay. But I was reading in your bio and all that you've written medical journals, articles, all of this stuff. You are self-published. You are published. When is the book? I mean, like, no joke. Housewives always write books. If somebody is meant to write a book, it would be you. You come from so many different angles that I know I'm going to already have a yes to this. So there's a book, right? There's got to be.
I would love to write a book, but
There's
I
not
just
been one
feel
written yet?
it's a little narcissistic to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write a book. Oh, Tiffany, what's your book about? Myself.
Wait, but that's what it would. This is the one you are smart enough to know that's not narcissistic. The Housewives is primarily built on potential narcissism from an outside glance. And people want to know, you actually have things to say. You come from family, medical, comedy, Housewives. You have so many things, like the time that we're in now, being able to come from your viewpoint and what we didn't see on the show. How would there not be a book? In fact, I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't answer immediately. Yes, it is in the works. I've written 6 chapters so far.
It's written in my head. I would love to write a book. Actually, even before Housewives existed, I wanted to write a book because I have a very interesting childhood about being separated from my parents and immigrating to America, learning English, dealing with racism, especially in the cultural climate that we live in these days. I think I have a lot to say. I guess I just haven't really had the time to write it.
No, I mean, that may, you got to do podcasts like
What
this
would we
one and
call
stuff.
the title of the book?
Oh, gosh, that's actually a good. Wait. Shoot for the Moon, the Dr. Tiffany Moon story.
Oh, that's cute.
That's cute. The guys, she hates that. She's like,
if I write a book ever, I want my fans and followers to help me name the book. So I would like do one of those story question things and be like, please submit ideas for so far what I've named my book, please no one steal this, is Work in Progress. Because I always feel like you should be learning and gathering your own personal experiences.
I love that.
Work in progress.
Some quick shots. We do Crystal actually was talking about this a couple weeks ago. Did you have any opinion or did you see what happened with Jenny on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
Yes, I was in Italy at the time, and my Instagram, I wasn't trying to be on my phone while in Italy with my husband, but we would 1 hour a day be on our phones. And people were like, Tiffany, what do you think about this? Oh, why is Tiffany Moon so quiet when she had so much to say about
you represent?
whatever?
Yeah, isn't that wild?
People were tagging me.
Isn't that wild?
For my opinion. And then when I offered my opinion, people were like, shut up. No one asked for your opinion. I was like, actually, they did ask for my opinion. Actually, they did. But, okay. Like, this is why you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Like, that's what you learn as someone in the public. But yeah, no, I don't agree at all with what Jenny did. I had no idea about any of that stuff. I had to sort of catch up on it later.
I don't think any of us did. I think it was a kind of a, I mean, surprised to all this. And I know Bravo does vet and stuff. So it was interesting, but I mean, I found it more interesting from the angle of like you and Crystal then are put in the spotlight because it's like, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? You know?
Ton. Yeah. And so Crystal and I actually called Jenny when I got back from Italy. I don't know if Crystal talked to her or not. I talked to Crystal. And then when I got back from Italy, I called Jenny after my Laugh Factory show in LA. And I was like, girl, like, what are you doing? And she's like, no, my account got hacked and it wasn't me. And my social media team did that. And I was like, no, girl, like you can bullshit other people all day long, but please don't bullshit me. Like I've had you over to my house for dinner. Like, be straight with me. And she wouldn't. She kept this, no, I have no idea, blah, blah, blah. Like, and so I was like, if you can't even own up to your mistake and say what I did was wrong, I apologize. Like, I didn't know. I was ignorant. I will do better. Those are all acceptable things to say.
Yeah, I love the I'll do better. I mean, you don't need a social media team before you're on the Real Housewives, unless you've got something social wild, media? You know?
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting. And then where are we with the ladies? I know you're still friends with Deanne and Deandra and Mama D and stuff like that, but any of the other ladies, you have any sort of communication? And were you kind of blamed in any way of like, you lost the show for us? You lost, like, was there any kind of like BS thrown your way about any of that?
Yeah, I think, well, your first question, I don't talk to anybody from the show except for Deandra and Mama D. So I joke that I have as many friends from the show now as I did before joining the show. I was very disappointed in some of my fellow cast members because when I felt that I was being attacked and gaslit, especially at reunion, nobody else stood up for me. You know, they all sat around and said like, oh, we wish we would have learned more and listened more to Tiffany's experiences. But then when it was actually happening, like nobody said a word. That's like watching a kid get picked on the playground and like not having the courage to say anything to the bully because you don't want the bully to turn on you, which is understandable. But like now they all hang out and like have a group text message, and Dallas is small. One of their friends is actually one of my friends. And so whenever they talk bad about me, it always comes back to me, which I've told this friend, like, you don't have to tell me anymore. Like, I don't need to hear it. So apparently the old cast members are all on a group text that does not have me or Deandra on it. And they'll like say funny things about us or just make fun of us. And they go out to happy hours and things like that. And they call themselves like the Fab Five or something. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm really not involved in this.
We never fully leave high school. We never fully ever. I always think like it does get better in some ways, but I was like picked on religiously in like high school, and it never like it gets better in some ways, but it's so funny how everybody really has this safety in acting like their high school selves sometimes.
I think the people who want to leave high school, Ryan, leave and go to university figuratively and not so figuratively. And the people who want to stay in high school, stay in high school. That is the truth. Well, and I'm not going to play in the mud with them anymore. Like
you're so positive. You're so like, that's what I like. I knew I was so excited to talk to you because I knew you just aren't a negative person. Like, and the thing is, what I feel good about talking to you, because I was like, I don't care if you're never on a show ever again. I still wanted to have an experience of talking to you because I feel like you truly are this special person. And I think great, amazing things are going to happen and are happening right now. But also like if there's one person that doesn't need a Housewives show, it's you. Like, but also like, I mean, like also I did like Three Moons wine. I mean, that's like you guys have your own wine brand. You actually have your candle line, which I have the entire set of candles, which you guys, I talked about it in the intro before she came on, but I'll put up all the links to that as well. And my roommate even has your Dr. Ruth Bader Ginsburg mask.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah. Which I know a portion proceeds go to charity for that.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you're working on? It seems like there's probably 10 other things.
Well, apparently I have to write a book now. So
that's just a no-brainer.
Podcast, I'm going to get on the laptop and start writing my book.
That's the easiest thing. You could do that. We could get this out today. If you
I was born in a small village in China in 1984. Yeah.
The final question is from Google is, What is the passcode to get into your closet?
Oh, you have to have my thumb. There's
Your
no
thumb.
code.
That's good info. That is good intel.
You
Okay,
would
your
have
thumb.
to chop off, you would have to kill me, slice off my finger, and carry my amputated thumb around with you in order
Yeah.
to get into the closet.
Okay, that got really dark really quick.
It's probably not worth it.
Yeah, I don't
Somebody
think
was
so.
like, "Aren't you worried someone's going to break into your house and steal one of your Birkins?" And I'm like, "Girl, if you want to get past the armed guard, past our security gate, into our house that has an alarm, past the closet that has a key, like I'll just give you a Birkin if you're gonna do all that. Like
Yeah,
risk your life climbing over the fence and get, because here in Texas, we'll shoot. If you're on property and I see something move, we'll shoot. We all have handgun licenses. We got plenty of ammo. Like
you and
Texas
Kanye,
people
I
do
know
not mess around.
I have to know about Birkins now because of Housewives and Kanye. Those are the two things I talk about. And like Kanye's buying Birkins like right and left. Like I didn't realize Birkins, like I always heard the name, but I didn't realize the fanaticism that goes behind Birkins and the craftsmanship and the quality. And you're sitting on a gold mine potentially in that closet, which I mean, do your daughters realize the importance of that closet yet?
No, they have no idea. I mean, that is what I'm going to pass on to them. That's why I have to have even numbers of everything so that if I die, everything can be split evenly between Chloe and Maddie. And I have an Excel spreadsheet of every Birkin that I've ever bought with its price and date stamp and like green croc, 2002. No, I'm serious.
You have an appreciation? Does it do you check in every year what it appreciates to?
Yes. And then once in a while, some crazy person will DM me and I sold a Birkin through Instagram for $50,000.
Dude, you might have been one of the people that Kanye bought the Birkin from a couple of weeks ago. He bought 5 Birkins for that one girl. I wonder if one of them was yours.
For Julia Fox, she's a lucky girl. No, somebody DM'd me on Instagram because I was carrying it and said, "I really like that purse that you were carrying last Tuesday. I want to buy it from you." And I was like, "Are you serious?" And she was like, "No, I'm serious." And I was like, "Well, here's my bank account," thinking, this is so bogus. And then the money arrived. And then I sent my assistant to Los Angeles to hand deliver the Birkin. This is a true story.
Wait, by the way, I want to talk to your assistant now.
She's right here.
This needs to be made. That needs to be made into a movie, by the way, is the drop off of the Birkin. And did she put it on a handcuff around her wrist? Was it she's giving you faces.
She's looking at me going
no. Okay. That was hysterical. But Dr. Tiffany Moon, thank you so much for spending all of this time. Truly, I wanted to speak to you since episode 1. So thank you so much for being here today. And I wish you luck in all of your future endeavors, because I really think huge things are ahead of you. And you guys, I'll put all of the information for everything on there. She's constantly updating website and products, and go see her on stand-up if she does a world tour with Dave Chappelle. And hopefully we will get to talk to you again someday.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. It was such a pleasure talking to you.